So, today we're going to be talking about Jhene Aiko's third studio album, Chilombo, which came out earlier this year, which I'm just now covering. But this is definitely one of my favorite albums of this year. It's like this soulful, meditative, body of work that expresses, just self-love and self-worth and just an overall just peace of mind. In the beginnings of the albums, when she talks about, she has these songs, Lotus, The Trick with Freestyle, and None of Your Concern. And they all kind of, let's just start with Lotus first, because Lotus gets into, it just sets the tone for the entire album. It talks about a woman and meets this man, and this disruption happens within the woman. But within this disruption, within all the turmoil that this guy kind of puts her in, this beast awakens, and this kind of what the album, it sets the tone for the album because it's kind of summarizing what his entire album's kind of centering around. It's centering around, happiness for a woman, just going through turmoil and kind of just overcoming it. You're in this codependent situation, you're coming out of it a better and stronger individual. And this album also just covers a lot of just self-worth. And there's been a lot of albums this year inspired by just self-worth, like H.E.R. and Folklore, but I like that with Chilombo there's just this particular difference about the whole self-care angle, and it's kind of wholesome. I just like the vibe of this album. It just feels great. Jhene Aiko just adds layers of soul and joy to her music, and it gives off this vibe that you're not just hurting, but you're healing, and you'll get through it instead of, just being a victim or just crying the whole time. Instead of being a victim, you're a survivor. You're getting over this. Not only are you going to get over this, you're going to be stronger than you've ever been. And that's just a really good perspective that she kind of gives that I got. It's not explicitly told, but this is kind of the vibe that I got while listening to the album. And the overall sound of this album, it's so therapeutic. I feel with this album, you can definitely just sit around the house. You can definitely have it be played in the background and just kind of meditate to it. She has these really, really, really good sounds, in One Way and Surrender and Defy Me. There's these meditative sounds. Oh, and Speak as well. Definitely Speak. She has these these instruments, and it sounds like something that you hear some kind of Chinese temple or something. It's definitely something that you can kind of just sit and just meditate and just think with and kind of just start your day. For the last few days, I've been starting my day with Speak. And Speak is a song. It talks about waking up and realizing life after the relationship, living for yourself versus anything else. You're living to please yourself and be happy with yourself. You're finding love with yourself. She talks about putting on this dress that her favorite dress that her past guy she was dealing with hated, and just talking about how the sun is brighter and how she's just living a brighter future without this individual, and which is really, really good. It's really amazing to kind of think of. And another thing I want to talk about with this album, all the features on this album they hit home for me. And every single feature, with the exception of the Big Sean feature in the third track, None of Your Concern, because I don't know, that feature just seemed very off-putting. It's really, really far towards the end of the song. It feels like the song is going to end, and his verse comes up, and I don't really know why that verse is kind of there. I don't know. The song's about, none of your concern, and you just getting past somebody, and then he comes in, he's just made you come 9 times in a day, and it's just why are you here? This doesn't really contribute to the story. I don't understand why he was there personally. But, with the exception of that feature, the H.E.R. feature, even Future and Miguel and Ab-Soul and Dr. Chill, all these features, they just complement the song. They add this amazing substance to the song. Nothing feels forced or marketed. Nothing this rapper is big and he's on this song, and it's he's fire, he's big, so stream my album. All these features on these songs, they feel very at home. They feel in their own element. As the song comes on, it's okay, I see why this person, there's this song Lightning and Thunder, and it's this piano kind of ballad song, and John Legend's featured on that song, and John Legend, he's really good with ballads. That's his thing, that's his niche, and it just makes sense to put him on that song. or like there's like this old school kind of like 90s beat, and Nas is on that song, and it's like, this makes sense. This makes perfect sense. Or like the BS song, which is kind of like, you know, a classic R&B song. She has Kalani as on the remix, and then she has H.E.R. Two really good R&B artists, and it just makes, like, these features are just amazing. There's a sense of belonging, like they were added to what was already good and made it better, and it just felt just organic. It was amazing, and I just can't stress how good these features are, because I just see in so many different albums that like features are like on these songs. It's like, why are you here? Or like they're there for like a marketing reason. Cough, the Tappin remix. There's just certain remixes. So I'm just really good. I'm just happy that like I'm satisfied when features are made when they're supposed to. I'm just happy that features are put together when they're supposed. I'm just happy that there are features on this album that complement the song, which is all I'm trying to say. And it's just something that I really appreciate, because I do love features. I love collaborations, but when they're done wrong, they just really piss me off, because it's like, why are you doing this? Like, this didn't even, at certain times, the feature just does not make sense. These are two different artists, and what they're doing is just, it's like they're fighting each other. You know, sometimes they're not in the same studio, and it's just, you can tell, like, the elements, the energies are just off, and it just really annoys me in ways I just can't even describe. And another thing with some albums, they have too many features, or they don't have any features. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, having no features on your album. It's just that when you lack versatility and you're not doing anything else with your sound, having a different person on there, you know, definitely helps. But what I love about this album is that there's a perfect balance between the main artist and its features. I feel like there was a good amount of features, and then there was a good amount of Jhene Aiko on the album. And not only that, but, you know, Jhene Aiko's doing a lot of different things with her voices. You know, you have like songs like Triggered and BS, where, you know, they're like traditional like R&B songs where, you know, she's talking and she's telling a story, and, you know, you're following with like what's going on. There's an overall story that's being told in this album, and it's being followed with Jhene Aiko with these different sounds, and everything's cohesive and it sounds the same and it goes together. And it sounds good all in the same time. She's doing different things, and it sounds different throughout the album. Like the very beginning sounds like the very like first like 10, 11 songs in this album are very like traditionally R&B songs, and then as you kind of continue throughout the album, you go into like these kind of like meditative sounds, like with Define Me and Surrender, which is like the 9th and 10th track. And my personal favorites from this album is definitely Define Me, One Way, Lotus, Speak, BS, Pussy Fairy, and Triggered, which is like, I think one of the best songs in this album and this year, definitely. What I liked so much about Triggered was that you know, it goes to like this phase of like just getting out of like a relationship and doing a lot of, it's like an important phase out of getting out of a relationship, and that's just being hurt and being vulnerable and acknowledging like, you know, this person did have power over you, and you are triggered and you are angry with what's going on. I like that's a very important step, and I like that it was included like as a second song, like just after Lotus, which kind of it kind of explains the entire album as a whole, and then she goes into Triggered, which, you know, kind of goes into detail of the aftermath of the relationship, you know, just before you know, the beast awakens. She goes into, you know, like what she went through and the pain she had to go through before, you know, she's better off on her own and she's autonomous and not codependent anymore. So that's what I like so much about that song. Then the song One Way, which is featuring Absol. I've never actually heard of him before, but his verse definitely brought this song home. And this is definitely a staple to what I was saying about the features on this album. The features on this album really like make these songs. They like complement them. They add amazing substance. It's organic, and they actually like fit the song. Like Absol fit the song. It felt like it was his song, and she was featuring. Let me stop. It felt like a Jhene Aiko song. It felt like it was their song together, which is what I'm trying to say. Like they both work together to make an amazing piece of music, and that's for like almost every song except for the none of your concern song, because Big Sean child, don't know why he was there. But anyway, but yeah, that speaks to like every other feature on this album. They definitely like, it makes sense. It was organic, and they complemented the song like amazingly, which is what I'm trying to express. And then one of the other songs I said I was really good. BS, amazing bop, with her added to the song, as I was just saying. And one of my favorites, I'm explaining my favorites, yeah. Anyway. Now, with its amazing corresponding features and the therapeutic sounds and just the overall lyrics and the substance that's behind just everything that she's singing about, and the soul and the joy and the overall like good vibes that this album just brings, I would definitely give this 8.5, 8.7. Like, it's definitely one of the best albums this year. I really like that each time I was like, as I was going over it, whether it was a feature or wasn't a feature, I was looking forward to each and every song that was like coming up next. The album was just so therapeutic, like just hearing her stories and the features. And this is definitely, the replay value on this album is just amazing. You can listen to this while doing stuff, or just sit down, just relax and listen to like this album. It's really, really good. I recommend it. And yeah, that'll be my video. Please like, subscribe for, more album reviews and music discussions. And I'm out.